This is a review for Nothing But the Tooth, released on the 1st of May 1948. It's the 523rd in the series, and it's directed by Art Davis. At the moment, there's no restoration publicly available, but if you look hard enough, I'm sure you'll find it. Believe me, you can find it. And because it's a copyrighted cartoon, I can't show you the full cartoon here, but just a brief synopsis in case you haven't seen it. Gold has been discovered in California, so Porky sets out into the Wild West, but is pursued by a timid Native American who's after his scalp. I mean, what else, according to his cartoons? So, with me today is my good friend S.C. McPeter to discuss this, I guess, largely forgotten cartoon for reasons that should be pretty obvious that we'll discuss. Say hi!
Here I am, I'm back!
I've not seen this one, so we'll definitely get into this one and why, of course, it's seldom seen today, but just a few bits of trivia to get this one underway. So, first of all, the title, it should be obvious, but for the few that aren't aware, Nothing But the Tooth is based off saying, nothing but the truth, like you're, like in court, declaring that you're going to tell the truth during your testimony, which, thankfully, I have not had to do yet. Now, there is an ad board that appears later on. Now, I couldn't find a reference to what this ad board specifically relates to, and if you do know, let me know in the comments. I'm really eager to know. But what I do know is that on the bottom of the billboard, you have Warren and Foster, who was a writer at Warner Brothers. Though, interestingly enough, he did not write this cartoon, so it's a bit weird as well. And finally, before we discuss the cartoon, Gene Autry is mentioned in the beginning where Porky is fighting with his horse and the horse is arguing in a very well-animated scene, by the way.
Well, I'll use you as a shield.
Oh, no you don't.
I'll bet that Gene Autry's horse doesn't do that.
Listen, Bob. Autry's horse makes more money.
Gene Autry was a singer-songwriter and actor in many films around this time, and his nickname was the Singing Cowboy. He was very influential in the development of country music. He was very famous at the time, had his own TV show in the 50s, so definitely look him up. I mean, I'm not going to do a history here, but that's who they're referring to anyway.
He's amazing!
That's right. So, I hadn't seen this before, or maybe I have when I was younger, I don't recall, but we all know, of course, the reason that this is not shown today is due to the Native American stereotype. It was bad then, it's bad now, but I do need to point out, though, with this character, my good friend Matt Hunter, he actually pointed out in a review in the review for A Feather in His Hair, in the comments section, he said that at the time there were a lot of tough guy natives on the big screen at the time, and the native in A Feather in His Hair was a send-up on that. And so it appears to be the case here. He's so timid and just the opposite of what you would see. So, and audiences would have eaten that up, of course, at the time. So, apologies for talking too much, though. So, SC, I'll get you to tell us what are your thoughts on this cartoon?
Not Art Davis's finest reel of film. Far, far from it. I actually saw this one at a fairly young age. I recall seeing it actually at the age of 6. I think I might have seen it on TV, but I don't really think it would have aired by then. But I know I saw it at a young age, and when I rewatched it, I thought, maybe it'll be good, but I was disappointed in it, and I think I kind of know why that was by looking at the credits.
Okay, is it due to the writing, you'd say?
Yes. Dave Monaghan was a writer that had come back after the war. He worked for Screen Gems for a little bit. Screen Gems made some really bad cartoons, and I have to say that the writing style of Screen Gems sort of bled into his own. And I feel for that there is a lot of talking that does not need to be done in this cartoon.
Yeah, it was a little bit talky, perhaps, but I did notice, though, because I know that Dave Monaghan here actually wrote for Tex Avery in a few shorts, and this short was very Tex Avery-esque, if you will. Yeah. Just a lot of nonsensical things, like in the beginning, you see that petrol station, gas station, whatever you guys want to call it, but it's just those ridiculous little situations at the traffic light. I love that traffic light gag.
The way it opens is definitely reminiscent of how Tex would set up something, the way of how they discover gold.
Yeah, Yep, exactly right, and it's very much is the Tex Avery-esque short. And despite the Native American, this has a lot of gags which I actually did enjoy. One gag which may not be so obvious is that this Native American's after Porky's scalp, but Porky has no hair, so I
And
mean, if
no
he does, he's
pants.
probably very small. Yes, this actually features. Besides the Daily Blurp in the beginning, by the way, I have to point that out. I just love that Mac. We really wish it was a newspaper called the Daily Blurp. I mean, a lot of newspapers these days, they should be called the Daily Blurp, given how awful they are. But anyway, that aside, the log gag is perfect comedy, as far as I'm concerned. I just love how it keeps on topping itself.
To fall, didn't you?
Well,
He turns around, and of course, the native is magically there. Then you get a follow up on that gag.
the poor little squirt. He forgot I had cut that out.
But here's what makes this gag just work in the end. It wasn't even that big of a fall anyway. It was just this small gap. That was an amazing topper. I thought that was just comedy gold right there. Gold, get it? Gold.
There's gold in them there rails.
That's right. So, did you have any other thoughts, like any favorite scenes in this short?
Not really. I do really like how fat they draw Porky in this. Like, they really like to push his cheeks and his chin. Like, he has a really chubby face. I just love that.
I do like the look, yeah.
The scene with the Pocahontas, the design of her reminded me of one that was in this what was called a Jerky Journey cartoon that Republic released that had some Warner layout and background painters freelancing on. I don't recommend you watch that, but the design did remind me of that for some reason.
It seems that way, yeah. So just to finalize things, I mean, what would you rate this one out of 10? I mean, I'm actually giving it a generous 7 because of that log gag just absolutely killed me. Plus a few of those stupid little things like the Daily Blurp and all that around. I won't be offended if you rated it lower, but what did you rate this one out of 10?
Definitely a 6. There's always that great animation that's in all of the Davis cartoons. You can always appreciate his fine layouts and direction and the timing, but there's just really not much tied into it. And like I said, I feel it's the writing that just can't sell this one for me.
Sure, fair enough. I mean, I did like Dave Monaghan on Mexican Joyrides. I mean, that worked really well, so...
Yeah, I wonder if, because I know Bill Scott recalled in an interview, him and Lloyd Turner doing some bits on that one, the Sylvester where he's with Frankie and Bill, and I wonder if if it was their influence that made those cartoons work, and that's why this one and the Rattled Rooster don't.
I see. In any case, we'll wrap this one up here. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.
That's all, folks.
You again?
You're expecting maybe Humphrey Bogart?